PLG, Politics, Leadership and Governance is on air. Welcome and thank you for choosing Maisha TV. My name is Rita Kering Chebet. We are here to talk about matters of politics, matters of governance and leadership of the country and beyond. I'm not alone in studio. Bushebi Jr. is here. He is a leadership and communication expert. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here on this accountability platform.
Yes, you can interact with us. Our studio number is 0746 999 841. Text, call or WhatsApp that number. Or you can leave your comment on our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube. It is Maisha Television Kenya, Instagram and Twitter at Maisha TV KE, or Instagram and X at Maisha TV KE. A lot happening in the country. The president, US tour, the war of words between CSs, PSs and the deputy president. We are here to talk about that. So make sure you stay tuned till the end to be informed on what is happening in the country. Let's begin with our first segment, the African proverb. Today's proverb comes from Madagascar. A boat does not know who the leader is. When it turns over, everyone gets wet. A boat does not know who the leader is. When it turns over, everyone gets wet. Bushebi Jr., the floor is yours.
A boat does not know who the leader is. When it turns, everybody gets wet. I mean, speaks of a machine or a system that is being used for transport. A system that is being has been created to perform a specific function or to facilitate or to ease transport from one location to another. The most important person there is the driver, the one who is in charge of driving, putting the location in right perspective, and driving the vehicle to the right destination. And so it's really ridiculous if you try to blame the machine, or you try to blame the system when you are the driver. You can't blame the car. Do something about it. The car doesn't know who, the name, the birthplace, the age of the driver. But you know more about the car. So do something about what you know, because you're the driver. So the boat doesn't know the driver. If it goes down, everybody, goes down. And its application could be placed on the facts of leadership. It talks about leadership and governance. The person whose desk carries the last placement of all problems, decisions, perhaps maybe in the Republic of Kenya, that would be, or that is the president. He is the driver. And when Kenya goes down, he cannot blame anybody. He cannot blame the system. He cannot blame, the CSS. He cannot blame, the opposition. He must do something about it. And I think an example is when the opposition decided to carry out demonstrations in the country. And as the driver, he came out and explicitly said, maandamano will stop. Now that is a driver saying, we will not go that direction. And when he said that, he made sure that maandamano stopped in the country. He used all means, from using the security systems to bipartisan talks, to negotiating with Raila Odinga, through Obasanjo, and all those things. He had to do everything that it takes to make sure that the boat doesn't sink. And so that is a classic example of the systems and those whom you're leading. Lifeless systems may not really know who the driver is. They don't know who the driver is. But the driver can know everything about the system, can know everything about the boat, can know the direction, can know the people he's carrying, where he's going, the location and everything. So the vision is with the driver. And I think that is a very powerful proverb, which most of our politicians should, or most of the leaders should embrace and live by as a policy and in fact as a principle. Because the system, the county, the constituency, the banks, the kitty, the taxes, they don't even know who is collecting them. Money doesn't even know that it's KRA that came for me. You know, it doesn't know. At the end of the day, it's the driver, the leader, the ultimate leader, the governors, the members of parliament in their respective territories, and ultimately the president. So think about your boat. It doesn't know you. If it goes down, all of you get wet, all of you die, all of you drown. I think that could be, in my own opinion, the classic example of that problem.
Yes, we will also accept your opinion as a viewer. A boat does not know who the leader is. When it turns over, everyone gets wet. That is a Madagascar proverb, and it was our today's African proverb on matters leadership. Thank you, Bushebi Jr., for that. Now let's shift focus to the interesting part of PLG, the editorial cartoon segment. And in today's cartoon there, we see Baba the Sixth, Raila Odinga, with cards there. And we can see some Azimio principles there. Martha Karua, Wajakoya, Kalonzo, Kioni with Sufuria, Kichwani, Eugene Malwa. And we are talking about 2027, as you can see on the ballot box there. Bushebi Junior, what is happening in this editorial cartoon?
It's quite clear that there's some quarters, whether from Raila Odinga's side or the government side, that really wants Raila Odinga to be on the ballot in 2027. The question here is who wants Raila Odinga to run for presidency again in 2027? Who is that person? Where is this narrative coming from? Who is behind it? Is it Raila Odinga himself? Is it people from his camp? Is it the government? My big question that I've been asking as you look at the editorial cartoon is answer this question and you'll know where 2027 is headed. Which opponent would President William Ruto prefer in 2027? If you look at the options, we have Raila Odinga. Number 2, we have Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Then we have others who are in UDA, they are waiting for 2032. So we are not going to count the Wetangulas, we are not going to count Mudavadi. So we have Raila Odinga, then we have Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, and I don't know if I should mention Wajakoya, but perhaps maybe Wajakoya will also be there, and others. Or maybe Martha Karua and Jeremiah Kioni might decide to also run for presidency. You never know. But now when you look at these two opponents, who would President William Ruto prefer between Raila Odinga and Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka in 2027? Which one among them or between the two is easier to beat by 5 a.m. in the morning? That would at least inform where this narrative is coming from. Who is pushing this narrative for Raila Odinga the Sixth? Is it President William Ruto himself or Raila Odinga? Is it the camp in UDA or the camp in Azimio, or let's say ODM? Which camp is pushing for this? I would say I would like to tackle such an issue by looking at the president's side, because he's the man to beat. And who gives him the scare of his life between Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka? if you look at Raila Odinga has tried 5 times unsuccessfully. History has it that in 2007, he won the election, but he was denied the victory. But let's say 4 times, Raila Odinga has tried to be the president of the Republic of Kenya unsuccessfully. We are not going to talk about the age on this matter because it doesn't matter how old a person is. A leader is a leader. But when you look at the trajectory of politics and the way things are going, I don't believe many Kenyans would believe that Raila Odinga is still fit to run for presidency in 2027. So he will be the easiest opponent to beat for President William Ruto. And I think that President William Ruto really wants Raila Odinga on the ballot in 2027. I do believe this narrative is not coming from Raila Odinga's quarter. I do believe strongly this narrative is coming from the president's quarters. Such that if you have Raila Odinga running for presidency in 2027, that is a betrayal to Kalonzo Musyoka. Because Kalonzo Musyoka is waiting for backup from Raila Odinga. And when that becomes a betrayal to Kalonzo Musyoka, it becomes fodder for President William Ruto to capitalize on that betrayal and beat Raila Odinga 5 a.m. in the morning. If you place Kalonzo Musyoka, I don't see high chances of Kalonzo Musyoka winning elections in 2027. I don't see, but politics is dynamic. By now, as I'm talking, I don't see any chance of Kalonzo Musyoka becoming the president in 2027. I don't see Eugene Wamalwa becoming the president in 2027. Still, the energy would go to Kalonzo Musyoka by the facts that I've stated. So I do believe by the editorial cartoon, this narrative of Baba the Sixth is not coming from ODM. It is being sponsored. It is being pushed by the president's quarters. Why? Simple. It is easier to beat Raila Odinga than to beat Kalonzo Musyoka in 2027 because of the mayhem that it will cause if Raila Odinga decides to run for the 6th time. Everyone would feel he's a betrayer. It is time for him to support somebody else, and that is going to cause a problem. So I think the cartoon is speaking a lot, but the question is who is behind this narrative, because it's growing every day. There are plans to have Raila Odinga run again and stuff like that. So we are waiting to see. And in my own opinion, I think President William Ruto really wants Raila Odinga as an opponent in 2027, and he would sponsor that, push that narrative to have Raila Odinga, because he knows he's going to easily win those elections in 2027.
All right, thank you so much, Bushebi Jr. That is what is on the today's editorial cartoon, Baba the Sixth in 2027 general elections. I think Bushebi Jr. has talked about that, and according to him, it is the narrative is either coming from the Azimio camp or the Kenya Kwanza camp. All right, let's now shift focus to the meat of PLG: politics, leadership, and governance. Kenyans are crying the cost of living is unbearable after the latest review of the fuel prices, which went on the new high, that is over 200 Kenyan shillings. And Kenyans are calling on the president to keep his campaign pledges, where he promised that the moment he takes office, the cost of living will be bearable, the cost of fuel will come down, the cost of unga will come down. But now, over 1 year down the line, Kenyans are crying, and they are asking the president to keep his promise. Before we delve into this discussion on matters cost of living, let's just have a listen to what Kenyans have to say concerning the new fuel prices and how the cost of living is unbearable to them.
Kwa hivyo ningeuliza serikali yetu, haya mafuta ya Tanzania, kwani haya mafuta yanatoka wapi? Ikiwa mafuta imepanda Kenya dunia mzima, Kwa nini ya Tanzania yani imekuwa bei rahisi?
Hakuna mtu anakubali kubebwa. Sasa ukilipisha customer 50 hiyo ni hasara kubwa sana, hata kuna mali itaenda, hata Yesu mfikisha. Sio anatoa 50 unaweka 100. Hiyo ni hasara, sio hatuwezi beba hao na. Tunataka kuongeza shilingi 100 kwa every stage 100 bob. Town service. Ili itakuwa mzuri.
Kwa transport iko juu sana.
Pata ya kwamba wameweza kuongeza gharama ya mafuta ya petroli kwa shilingi 16 na gharama ya mafuta ya diesel kwa shilingi 20. Kwa gari inayotumia lita 100 kwa kila siku, tuko na ongezeko la shilingi 3200 kwa pump kwa kila gari kila siku. Kwa sako yenye iko na magari 30, tuko na ongezeko ya mafuta ya shilingi 96,000 kwa pump kila siku.
Hii maneno ya mafuta ambayo imeongezekana na hii president yetu William Ruto imekuwa vibaya sana. Itabidi watu wa sekta wa matatu tuweke magari zetu isikimbie. Juu uwezi ukatoa gari na mafuta naye hakuna. Hii watu wa chini ambao wanatoa pesa ya kupanda gari naye hakuna. Abiria uwezi ongezea fare. Juu kutoka hapa mpaka Migori itakuwa shilingi 1000.
Itabidi watu waanze kutembea mguu, na kama ni kupika chakula tuache kutumia kitunguu na nyanya ili tuweze kuishi maisha haya. Tafadhali tuonee huruma, punguza gharama. Wananchi wa Nakuru wamekupatia miaka 5. Hiyo miaka 5 itategemea vile umetreat wa Kenya. Ikiwa utatesa wa Kenya kwa gharama ya maisha na kuambia 2027 unaweza pata.
Hai mtu wa maskini hawezi ikapata. Sasa president yetu apate kuangalia hii kitu ya mafuta. Alisema bottom up. Kumbe hii maneno ya bottom up ilikuwa kutoa vitu chini na kupeleka juu.
Mimi nikichangia kuhusu hii maneno ya mafuta fuel kuongezwa, mimi hatujisikii vizuri sana kama madriver, sababu unakuta ya kwamba unapoweka mafuta abiria naye wanatoa hela kidogo, ila haitoshi kabisa. Tukiongeza nauli wanatoa tu ile kabisa. Sasa unakuta kuandikishia gari pesa inakuwa ni shida, inabidi at the end of the day unaandikia gari pesa, wewe unaenda kwako bila hela.
Gharama maisha imekuwa juu. Wakati Ruto alikuwa anaingia kwa mamlaka, wakati alikuwa anachukua mamlaka, alisema aslas wanaenda kusikia vizuri. Sasa hii aslas wanalia mbaya mbofu. Sekta ya matatu watu wanaumia. Fuel ndio kila kitu. Fuel ndio inafanya movement ya Kenya inaendelea.
Hata watu wa pikipiki wote wanakunywa. Kwa hivyo tuna prefer kule. Tungeomba serikali kama ingetusaidia tuangushie kidogo, at least juu watu wengi wanapeleka pesa Tanzania.
Hapo ndio afueni kuliko huku. Vitu pia ni bei rahisi. Tunapata vitu bei rahisi huku, unakuta unga ni 120 huku ni 200. So afadhali uende pande.
Kweli inatupiga sana, maana hali ya mafuta imekuwa juu zaidi. Sasa unaona watu wengine wana prefer kwenda kunywa Tanzania, na tena mafuta ya Tanzania sio mazuri, maana inaharibu gari pia. So inatakiwa serikali ya Kenya iangalie vijana na ituteremshie mafuta.
Alright, those are Kenyans airing out their opinions and their views on matters cost of living. As I said, Bushebi Jr. is in studio to help me put sense to all these. My name is Rita Kerim Chebet. Bushebi Jr., you've heard Kenyans. Who is to blame? The president, the global effects, or who exactly is to blame?
That's a tough question to answer because first of all, if the most the point that can bring this to clarity or paint the picture so is a fact that we are dealing with micro and macroeconomics.
Yes.
And we are dealing with a government. It's not really like we are dealing with a president. We are dealing with a government.
Yeah.
A government that has been put in place to manage resources belonging to 50 million people. And so the government has to come up with ways and means of managing these resources in this territory of 50 million people. And then at the same time, you are looking at the same government trying to do business or run its economy with neighbors and other friends from outside. We have so many things that go on in economics, and sometimes it becomes a little bit hard to say that we're going to blame somebody. First of all, we operate in a capitalistic economy where whoever has capital has an upper hand. Secondly, it's a free market. Now, if it's a free market, then value goes to where market demands. For example, if the shilling is dropping in value, simply means the market demand for a shilling is dying and people are demanding something else. So you're not able to purchase stuff. Like I said, macroeconomics, look at international economics. You're like, for example, in Kenya, you're supposed to purchase oil from outside Kenya. You're not going to do that in shillings. You're going to do that in dollars. But that shilling and that dollar operates in a free market. So the demand for oil goes up, the value of the shilling drops. You cannot purchase oil in shillings. You have to purchase oil in dollars, which means you have to collect shillings, then change the shillings to dollars, and then go and purchase oil. That is what the problem is. Now the shilling has lost value, which means if a dollar was 100 shillings and tomorrow you're supposed to buy oil at $1, today you would need to collect 100 shillings and you'll be able to import oil at $1. Now, if the shilling drops in value and goes to 150 shillings, the next day you have to force KRA to collect 150 shillings so that it can be translated into $1. The following day, if a shilling goes to 200 shillings, the cycle continues. And that is what is happening in the country. That as the value of the shilling keeps dropping, more money has to be collected from the people to be able to purchase the goods and services that the people need. So you need oil, you need energy, you need to import all these things. But remember, these things are not being imported using shillings. Your shillings have to be converted to $1. And if this shilling keeps on dropping the value, then that simply means more money has to be collected so that it can be at par or in tandem with the dollar rate. That is where the problem is. It's a free market. Value goes to where market demands. And here we have a shilling that is dropping. And there's no way you'll wake up and say from today, $1 will cost 20 bob. That is not how it works. It works because we are in a free market. If the demand for our GDP, our goods and stuff that we have go high, if we produce valuable goods and stuff like that, then perhaps maybe if our business activities, investments and GDP rises, perhaps maybe we are able to stabilize the shilling. But look at our GDP. What are we producing? Everything that we produce as a country is half-baked. We have to extract oil in Turkana, then take that raw oil, take it to an Arab country, and then it be processed, then it's returned back to the country. I mean, those are the issues. Look at what we are producing. What is Kenya producing? Is it enough to stabilize the shilling? It is not enough to stabilize the shilling. Look at the number of investors who've run away since the new regime came into place. Those are the guys who are causing these problems. It is not William Ruto. It is the investors who are holding on to their money. And investors don't operate on shillings. They operate on dollars. And so they are holding back their money, the dollar, the much needed dollar. And I want to put this as a reminder. Every currency, except for a few countries, is pegged to $1. The value of a currency is determined by how much it can buy $1. Every currency. So anytime you hear that the value of a certain currency has gone down, it's because of its purchasing power in relation to the dollar. And so you find that if we are not producing enough goods and services so that we can pool the market, we can control the markets, both locally and internationally, to have enough dollars, to have enough currency, foreign reserves, and all these things that we need in the economy to stabilize our shilling. The shilling will keep on dropping, the dollar will keep on rising. And worse is when global oil prices are increased. That is even the worst. You will pray. That's why Moses Kuria came out and told Kenyans the truth. It's going to be 10 shillings and 10 shillings, and because of the winter that is coming, the prices are just going to be higher. That is even the worst. Worse is when there's a war and you have a devalued shilling. It's going to be crazy. So a free market, a devalued shilling, even if you're the president, there is no legislation, there is no pronouncement, there is no abracadabra, there is absolutely nothing you can do as a miracle to change things. The only way you can do to change this situation is to increase your production, is to increase your investments in the country. It is to make people produce more. And that is why you are seeing the president not settled in the country. He is out of the country to look and expand trade activities, to look for markets for the goods and services of the country. Because when we export, for example, we are producing avocado, a market has been opened supposedly maybe in US, okay? When we export that avocado, we get dollars. So we are not going to tax Kenyans to get the shillings to go and purchase oil, okay? We will have enough dollars to simply purchase oils. That way, that way you're cushioning Kenyans. So the only way to cushion Kenyans is to increase trade, is to increase investments. That is why there's absolutely no miracle whatsoever. There's nothing. And mark you, God did not invent money. Money is an idea that was invented by man. A man came up with this idea of money. It's a system. So if you don't understand that system, you will be wondering why your land is going away. You will be wondering why life is hard. The cost of living keeps on rising. And all the blame will go to the president. Like the African proverb that you said, it will go to the driver. Everyone will be like, driver, what is wrong? Problem is, there is no simple way to explain these micro and macro economics to Kenyans. So what do? If I were the president, I would do exactly what President Ruto is doing. I will go and look for friends. I will visit every country in the world. I will look for markets and drive dollars into the country. Once you drive enough foreign reserve, enough foreign currency into the country, then you will be able to purchase the things, goods and services that your country people need using the foreign reserve. But you see what is happening right now in the country is that shillings have to be collected and then converted to dollars so that purchases can be made. Do you know what is going to happen? You're going to see so many taxes being introduced. You're going to see heavy taxation on the people. Because like I said, and this should be the simplest thing, if you're buying oil at $1 and $1 is 100 shillings, tomorrow, if a dollar changes and the value of a shilling drops, it simply means when it gets to 150, the government has to collect 150. If it collected yesterday 100, there will be a directive to KRA, go and collect 150. Why? Because we need $1 to go and purchase oil. That is what is happening in the country. So how can we sort this thing out? Simple. increase trade, increase investments. I mean, build up investor confidence. Investors, look at NSE, Nairobi Stock Exchange. Most investors ran away. I don't know what they feared. I don't know if it's the president they feared. I don't know if it's the political environment they feared. But major multinational and huge investors ran away. Some of them, many of them, held on to their investments. They held on to their dollars. They held on to their money. Now, this is even the worst. Most of the big, huge, multi-billion-dollar investments in Kenya are owned even by political opponents of President William Ruto. Talk about the Kenyatta family. The Kenyatta family controls the economy of this country. What you don't know is that we consume almost 30 to 40% of their products every day when you wake up in the morning. You don't know who is giving you the toothbrush and that you're using to brush your teeth, the toothpaste, the milk you're drinking, the fruits you're buying, the supermarkets where you are going to buy, the transport system, how those things reached you. You don't know. But these people control the economy.
Yeah.
Now, when they decide to sabotage, when they decide that, you know, we are not going to release our dollars, the president has to look for new investors. And that is exactly what he is trying to do. Will it work? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yes, we are here to see. Time and again, we've seen Azimio coalition saying that the president is focusing on the long-term solution rather than short-term, and Kenyans need cushioning right now. In your opinion, what could be the immediate intervention by the government, at least to cushion Kenyans during this period?
The immediate intervention by the government is to tell Kenyans what Kenyans hate to hear. It's not gonna be easy. Period. Prepare to take 1 meal a day. Prepare to save the little that you have until the country is stable enough to stabilize the shilling. That is the only way out. There is no immediate I told you, there is no miracle.
They've been calling for introduction of subsidies.
Of course, these subsidies, where do they go? Now, if you place subsidies on fuel, for example, consumption, who are the importers of this fuel? One of the companies that was given the contract to import this G2G belongs to former President Daniel Toroitich, late Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, now owned by his children. Gideon Moi, one of the companies is owned by him. So when you talk about subsidies, who are you giving that money? It's the same people. It's the same people. The same people who are telling you introduce subsidies, they are telling you, in short, get that money and give it to us. We also want a cake of this thing. So this is a mixture, a conglomerate of politics and economy. The president would do it the best way to sit down with political opponents. Okay? Sit down with the local investors, have a hearty discussion with them, period, and decide on the way forward. What do we do? This is our country. We can't keep on doing things this way. You cannot, you've had, now let's shift to politics. What Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua used to say, Uhuru Kenyatta controls all the milk, the full milk industry in the country. We're going to cut that one off. Okay, as you do that, you're destroying over 100,000 jobs by doing that, because that company has employed all these people. And so you're rendering all these people jobless as you try to nail someone. Okay, what would be the way forward? Why can't all these investors, and most of them, Rida Chebeta, won't lie to you, most of them, in fact 99% of huge investors, the controllers of the economy of the Republic of Kenya, are top politicians. Let nobody ever lie to you. Talk of the Ruto's family, talk of Kenyatta's family, talk of Moi's family. These are the people, and the Odinga's family. And now bring in the Indians and their friends who they work with. Wewe na mimi ile kitu tuna control ni shilingi 2,000 3,000 kwa hii economy. What do you control? These are people who see trillions of shillings. These are people who handle billions of dollars. And they're not scared. Oh, mimi hata sijawahi ona 1 billion. Maybe if I ever see 1 billion shillings, I might tell people, but I think I'm sick. Because you've never seen that kind of... But these are people who've been swimming in money all through. That is why when you hear that they spent 1 billion, you're shocked. For them, it's nothing. It's peanuts. So what is the way forward? Why can't all these investors in the country, the players of the economy, the government is not the player of the economy. The government is not doing business in the country.
Yeah.
It's a social outfit. The government's work is to give services. Players are the economic investors locally and internationally. Is there a way that they can sit down and redeem the economy? Hii kitu shida ni moja tu, na nakwambia ukweli, leo hii if the president decided, this thing would end. Watu ambao wamewekeza mali Kenya wameshikilia dollars. They are weakening the shilling. What do you need to do? Just weaken that one bob. Weaken it. Devalue it completely. Hakuna kitu the president will do. There's nothing the government will do. If you want to know whether the economy is growing or dying, just look at your currency against the dollar. So weaken that thing and the whole government will just be confused. Another thing, even currently, is corruption. There are people who got into power. They're even in Kenya Kwanza. And all they're thinking of is how to become billionaires overnight. And they are, you know, when you do that, you're denying Kenyans free flow of cash. So mtu mmoja ameponyoka na 100 billion. One person. Na hiyo pesa ameiweka Dubai. So hiyo pesa is not circulating in the country. It is, in fact, it is circulating in Dubai. Sasa ukiiba mabilioni na unabeba yote unapeleka nje ya nchi, how are you helping the economy of that country?
All right.
And that has been the system. It's not just William Ruto's government. All governments. In fact, people say that Mudavadi is not, has never been involved in corruption. Who was the finance minister during Goldenberg scandal?
Yes, we are talking about the cost of living in the country, and this is politics, leadership and governance. Bushebi Jr. is in studio to help me talk about today's discussion. Azimio Moja One Kenya Coalition now wants the suspension of the Finance Act 2023 as a stopgap measure to cushion Kenyans from the high cost of living. Is this an option for the government?
It is not an option because of the ego. The ego play.
Yes.
The Finance Act 2023, like I said, is meant to do away with the previous investors in the country.
Yes.
There are Kina Raila Odinga, Kina Uhuru Kenyatta, Kina tax them completely. Make sure that they are not there. And then the next thing is bring in new investors. That is what Finance Act 2023 is all about. So what does it do? Increase the taxes and fill in the gap when these investors are leaving, or when you are kicking them out, or when you are, you know, closing down their businesses, when you are denying them markets. Okay, as you do that, there's gonna be a gap for some time until new investors come in. Like we have seen huyu wa Tanzania wa kutengeneza gas anaitwa nani? Taifa Gas. We had Raila Odinga with his company who was supplying gas in Kenya. Now he has a competition. Now, by the time this Taifa Gas takes effect, there's gonna be a problem. So most probably the Odingas will begin to fight, because you can't just come into my market and kick me out. Okay? And where is all this playing? It is playing in the Finance Act 2023. That is where everything is playing. If you look at that document, it is not your war. We are just the casualties. That document is a war between these huge investors. President William Ruto, if you keenly look, wants new investors. That is why the narrative of the bottom up came in. He wants other people to now invest in Kenya. Not just the usual ones that we have always known. Not just the Kenyatas, not just the Odingas, but can we have mtoto wa mama mboga pia akuje aekeze? Can we have new investment in the country? So he's trying to kill that history. Is he going to succeed? It's a system. If he will succeed, it might be a success that would appear 100 years from now. But there's going to be casualties. The problem is Kenyans are going to be the casualties. So the issue of suspending the 2023 Finance Act, opposition is simply telling the president, let's have a talk. Let's have a talk. You can't kick us out of business. Let's have a talk about this economy issue. And by the way, if you don't understand this battle, follow the money.
And you'll know.
You will know where every problem is coming from.
Yes.
Follow the money.
Yes,
So I think they're just asking the president, listen, if you don't want to talk with us about this economy issue, it's not that they want to talk to salvage you and provide the food, clothing and shelter for you. Forget about that.
Yes.
You might benefit, yes, from the talk, but forget, that's not the priority of this narrative.
Yeah.
The priority of this narrative is a fight between the existing investors and the new investors. Look at the number of investors that President William Ruto has signed deals with as he's been moving around. New names, new people, new deals, you know. Right now he's leaning towards the United States.
Yeah.
The initial investors were from China and all that stuff. Why is this happening? The multinationals who've invested, the local investors, and I'm talking investors in billions of dollars, it's a war between them. Those ones who are threatened are saying, suspend this Finance Act. We need to have a chat. And the newbies, the ones who are coming in, are saying, no, we also want a share of the cake. That is it. In a nutshell, that is it. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with their interests.
Yes, so Azimio Coalition is pushing for suspension of Finance Act 2023 in the national dialogue that is going on between the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio, led by Kimani Ichung'wah and Kalonzo Musyoka. We are here to update you on the same, on what will be the final decision between the two camps. Among other things, earlier, Bushebi Jr., you said that the government should come out and tell Kenyans the truth, that things are going to be tougher. But that is contrary to what the Parliamentary Budget Office noted. It said that the primary causes of inflation in 2022 were the weakening shilling, but they are now predicting that things will be better by the end of this year. This is also contrary to what Kenyans heard from the likes of Moses Kuria, David Ndii, and other leaders from the Kenya Kwanza side. According to the National Government Budget Implementation Review Report for the financial year 2022-2023, released by the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, Kenya's debt increased by 18.8% from 8.6 trillion shillings reported in June 2022 to 10.25 trillion in June 2023. During the period under review, that is the financial year 2022-2023, development expenditure recorded 14.4% decline compared to 553.37 billion shillings spent in financial year 2021-2022. I'll let you comment on that. Do you believe that things are going to be better by the end of this year?
First of all, Kenyans need to understand that there's a statement which, as you've read, quoting whoever said it.
Control of budget.
Yes. That is being caused, the situation has been caused by a weakening shilling. But there is a prediction that things are going to be fine.
Yes.
That statement proves what I said in the first place. It's a free market. So you can only make a prediction. that's it.
Things can change.
Yeah.
It's not a guarantee.
It's not it's not even a guarantee. It's not. You can only predict. And do you know the true prediction? Is that the value of the shilling will keep on dropping. Right now, as we are talking, is at 147 against the dollar. In a month's time, I predict the value of a shilling will drop to almost 200 shillings per dollar. And I have my own reasons. As long as we are in a capitalistic economy and a free market, the free fall of the value of the shilling will continue as long as there is no enough foreign reserve. Not the foreign reserve borrowed, not the dollars that the president is borrowing, but foreign reserve from production and service delivery that is being sold to markets, so you get genuine money, not borrowed money, okay, that can be used to purchase goods and services that we need, which we don't have. As long as we are in this situation, there is absolutely nothing that will change. As long as our GDP remains the same, as long as there's no enough dollar to purchase goods and services from outside, as long as we are still borrowing money, as long as we are still borrowing money to pay money, borrowing from the West to pay China, okay?
Yeah.
As long as we are still increasing our debt profile and not our production and service delivery profile, not our GDP, as long as we are not doing good business that can bring in enough foreign reserve, it will remain the same. Do you know why? Because it's a free market. You can do all your predictions the way you want, but as long as Rida Kering Chebet does not have a good or service that she can sell in dollars and bring that money back and pay taxes to the government, and government can use those dollars in form of taxes to pay debts and to import fuel, forget about things going to change. What economics should do is to ensure we have enough investments. Do you know how long that is going to take? Another 3 years. And David D has said it. Moses Kuria has said it. It's the truth. The investment way, the opening of trade markets way, which the government has taken, is not a short-term thing. You don't invest today in a business and tomorrow you're the billionaire in town. No, it doesn't happen like that. It's going to take a long time. And so when you talk about, you know, cushioning Kenyans and stuff like that, now, there's the politics side of it. Like I said, people who are at the door, at the gates of the economy, are the same politicians. Are the same politicians. Even, it's not that even they don't have these dollars. You cannot tell me that Kenyatta's family does not have enough dollars from all their businesses in the world. They have it. What is happening? There is a misunderstanding between former president and the current president. The former president holds on to his dollars. So I'm not going to release my dollars. These guys are shutting down my businesses. These guys are doing this and that. I'm not going to deal. Let them suffer. You know, let them suffer. But as you punish William Ruto, you're punishing Kenyans. Because who owns all these banks? One of the shareholders of Absa Bank is Mudavadi. Mudavadi is a billionaire.
Yeah.
Uhuru Kenyatta and his family, they own NCBA Bank that controls Mshwari, M-Pesa, M whatever. All MMM is controlled there. If that man decides, I'm not going to release dollars for this government, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You will run to the West and borrow to pay China. You will go and look for new investors. Okay? But still, this person who controls the economic system is the person who owns the bank. Bank owners control, they manufacture, they produce and reproduce money. Money is not reproduced in a forest. Money is produced in a bank. You go to a bank, you say, I want a loan, there's nothing in your account, it is zero. Somebody behind that desk says, how much? Okay, you qualify. What else do you have? I have a land. You have security, you have you're a good person. Credit score, iko mzuri. Okay, so what do we do? It is zero in your account, zero. A person sits behind that desk and types in 1 million, 1 million. From nothing, you have 1 million. Where did that money come from? Somebody just typed it in your account. I'm telling you, banks control the economy, and the owners of the banks control the economy. If they decide to sabotage you, whether you are the president or whoever you are, there is absolutely nothing. You cannot solve an economic problem using a military solution.
Well, we are talking about the cost of living, and Bushebi Junior, as we wind up this discussion, is going to the streets an option for the opposition side?
Yes, it's an option depending on their intention. Like I said, the opposition wants a negotiation. They want a negotiation. Talk to us. If you want this economy thing to change, talk to us. And you know the talking that I'm talking about? It's not the talk about you.
About their own interest.
It's about my market, the market that you shut down. I was exporting my stuff in Congo. I was exporting my stuff to go to Ethiopia. My company was exporting this. My company was importing this. My company was doing this. You shut all that market on me as the president. Now, because you did that, let's go to demonstration. I'll mobilize people. They will go to the streets. They will think we are fighting for them. But in real sense, they are fighting for themselves. Once they get onto the table, they discuss their business. Once William Ruto and Raila Odinga sit on one table, they will not talk about you. They will discuss their businesses. You closed my market in Congo. You closed my market in US. You wrote to US not to accept my company to function there. You did this and that. I want all that removed. When that is removed, now economy will come back. We will support you. Because it's a free market. You cannot, it's not a criminal offense for you to be an investor. Okay, you cannot jail me because I decided to invest. But what you can do is, if you have some powers, you can block my markets. You know, you can zone me. You can only export this far. You can put restrictions. The same way they did to this milk company, Uhuru Kenyatta from Uganda. I think Uhuru was importing milk from Uganda to Kenya. The way they did that, you put those restrictions. When you do that, they will go to demonstrations. Yes. So these demonstrations are not about you. That is why when President William Ruto and Raila Odinga met, they never talked about you, and they will never tell you what they talked about, because they know what they talked about. They never talked about common mwananchi. Forget about this thing. This is politics. Tuongee reality, tuambiane ukweli. These politicians are not talking about Kenyans. They are talking about themselves. Some of them want to be billionaires overnight. Nyinyi mnaongelea KPLC. Who is the largest shareholder of KPLC? Sinindindi Nyoro. He is in government. The loudest politician in this country. Who says, oh, cost of living, hiyo wakati wa campaign alikuwa anapiga kelele sana. Oh, wanapandisha stima imeenda juu. Na stima yenyewe, are you not the owner? Wamepandisha juu, kwani wewe si direct hapo? Si nyinyi ndio mmepandisha. You see the hypocrisy in these politicians. So gullible Kenyans will buy the idea that demonstrations are about them, and it's going to bring down the cost of living. I'm sorry to say, it may or it may not work. I want to be diplomatic. It may or it may not work.
All right, that is Bushebi Junior displaying his opinions, and remember, those are the opinions of Bushebi Junior and not of Maisha Television Kenya. My name is Rita Kering.
I would like some water, please.
You're watching PLG. As we take a short commercial break, Bushebi Junior will be taking his water. Remember to keep the conversation going. Our studio number is 0746-999-841. What do you think about today's discussion? What are your views concerning the cost of living? Who exactly is to blame for what we are experiencing as a country? You can text, call, or WhatsApp that number. and be part of this discussion. We are taking a short commercial break. We'll be right back.